home building and remodeling show. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the home building and remodeling show. My name is Chris Kirby and I'll be your host. I am the owner of 3 construction companies on the Alabama Gulf Coast. The show is about residential construction. We're going to cover topics of home building and remodeling. Are you thinking of doing a remodel or building a home? Are you a contractor looking to improve your knowledge base or grow your business? Have you ever done a remodel project or built a home? There were so many things you wish you knew or that you could have done differently during the process. Then this show is for you. We break down the process of building and remodeling and how to have the best results during your project. Whether you're a DIYer looking for tips, someone looking to hire a contractor to do a project, or a contractor looking to expand your knowledge base or your business. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Stay tuned. We kick off the show with my thoughts on home building and remodeling. I'll share best practices and talk about some of our experiences in business and out in the field. These shared thoughts and lessons learned are meant to help you on your very own journey. Let's go. One of the toughest things in construction, or for the client in construction, is getting them to understand how much legwork is involved in preparing a piece of raw land for construction. And so we're going to talk through that. I know here at Kirby Homes and Kirby Custom Renovations, we have pre-construction checklists. I also have a pre-construction coordinator that helps the client walk through the entire step, the entire process of pre-construction. Our checklist has 35 items, believe it or not. So there are 35 things on our checklist that have to be done before we even break ground to start the build. So we'll go from really the beginning, which is identifying the lot and why you want your builder involved. When you first start looking at lots, it's because the builder is going to take a look at the lot and he's going to understand the site and prep work that it's going to take to prepare the lot. But not only that, he or she will also understand what it's going to take to get the utilities to the property, whether or not you're going to have a septic, or will you be on public sewer? Are you going to have a well, or are you going to be on public water? Can you even get utilities to the property depending on how rural the property is? And then sometimes that will deter a client from buying that piece of property because it does cost a lot to do the site prep and get it ready for the utilities to be connected. So it's going to take the builder, the engineer, the actual electrical company, the electrical engineer from the electrical company to come out and take a look. And then you can determine the cost, right? So how much does it cost to run electrical 1,000 feet into the woods? And how far will the electrical company go? And then can I get my electrician to tie in from where they're going to set that power, that box? There are limitations on what you can do depending on the property, where it's at, how rural it is. Whereas in a subdivision, an empty lot, let's just say an empty lot that's clear, is much easier to prepare for building on. So your builder should be looking at that and telling you, okay, most likely you're going to be on public sewer, public water. Here's how much it's going to cost to connect to those. Here's who you need to call. These are some of the things we do. And that's why just identifying the lot and then looking at and evaluating what it's going to take to prepare the site to build your home. So that is the first step in our checklist. And now we move into Shop Talk. It's the portion of the show where I bring in a co-host and we cover trending topics in home building and remodeling. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. It puts you in a situation, every build, you're going to be dealing with the same people. So you know, you do not want to, but on our part, we're listening to the client ask what's the problem, what's the problem, what's the status, and wanting updates. And, we're transparent. We use a program to communicate. We use a program called Build Book, and we're able to communicate through that every day. Us, the designers, everybody who has an interest in this build is able to go and Build Book our subs and communicate to the homeowner so they knew what was going on. But to hear day after day waiting on the power company, it becomes frustrating.
It does. Right? And the other part of that equation is within the entity, like for instance, the power company.
Yeah.
It depends on who you have coming out to check that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going to have certain guys that are going to be more lenient than others. And for instance, that one, if we'd have had one guy, he might have been like, everything looks good, everything's wired good, boom, we'll wire it. But when you have this other guy where I can't reach it, I'm not going to get up onto a ladder.
Yeah.
So I'm going to and it falls, basically it trickles down to even when you're running underground power with that, when you're trying to tie into an existing service along the road, you got one guy that'll be, hey, if you get it within 2 feet, we'll cap it off.
Yeah.
But then you got another guy that says, no, I want you hooking into my
straight all the way to it.
And I'm not going to do anything until then. And that cost us on a previous job 3 or 4 days where we had to literally come in and dig 2 feet worth of dirt and tie in a conduit.
Well, and that's where, being a home builder is more than just the building part. You do really have to know some of the engineering stuff because you're responsible for reviewing plans for accuracy. They can be over-engineered or under-engineered. And a lot of the times, a good engineer will go out and check the site and look before they engineer plans. Yep. And, in some scenarios, which leads, it's a good segue into our next topic is working with the building inspectors. Mm-hmm. Just kind of talking about what you're saying, there are different building inspectors. We deal with 9 different municipalities in the county. And so each municipality has a head building official, and then they have inspectors that work for them. Okay. Mm-hmm. But ultimately they're overall responsible for the final decision making on a home build. Well, you can have very lenient building inspectors. Okay. Lenient meaning they're going to call it out, but they're going to allow you to fix it on the spot. Yeah. Where, and they're going to talk to you about it and they're going to work through it. I wouldn't say that we've got a bunch of building inspectors running around just missing a ton of stuff. Mm-hmm. However, they're human. Yeah. And anytime a human is involved in the work that we do, there's errors that could happen. We have to be thorough enough as builders and as we learn, and this is the professional development side, to catch even stuff that they might miss. Yeah. Because another scenario that we have had happen, for instance, on stairs, where we're going through the framing and they will come in and pass the framing portion. Mm-hmm. And then later, right, during another portion of the inspection, they'll call out something that should have been called on framing. Mm-hmm. And we have now covered it up, or you're missing a strap that's covered up, or we didn't get a picture or something like that. So it's due diligence because inspectors have a lot going on. They are responsible for not just residential, but commercial and reviewing plans and so much more than just coming out looking and going, that they might miss something. Yeah. And so that's part of our quality control. And I know for you specifically, you have really dialed into all the different types of inspections that we've gone through. Each of our homes has been custom and different from the other one, but you've really dialed into what the inspectors are looking for. We compile a list of hits throughout, and then we've got that for future reference. Yep.
You throw in too with the different municipalities, you've got your typical IRC code that everyone goes by, but each municipality has the option to add additional addendums for that they're going to enforce. Yeah. So not only do you fall, and they all fall under the IRC, they actually take it one step further.
Sure.
So, like, you have to be cognizant about those two when you're building in that area, with following the local regulations and what they, especially in our area, being on the coast with the hurricanes coming through.
Yeah.
Especially when you're on the coast down in, let's say, Gulf Shores or Orange Beach area, you're dealing with a lot more stringent rules and regulations.
Yeah.
With regard to strapping.
Well, it's the high wind rating,
Correct.
and we get hurricanes and stuff. So, and we have things like the fortification process that we go through.
Yeah.
And we'll roll right into that. So, always working with the building officials, but here on the coast, we have gold fortification process. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, our builds, all of our homes that we do gold fortification on. And, as a custom builder and living in this community, it's one of those scenarios where you really saw it after Hurricane Sally, where there were certain homes that were blown down, and the stronger homes definitively were standing and intact, and they would have damage and stuff, but a lot of that was because they were properly fortified. It really does make a difference. And so we've made the decision that you can build just a typical house in accordance with the residential code. And the code is minimum standards. But for us, we're going to fortify these homes because of the area we live in. And that is, so explain the difference between a building inspector and the fortified inspector. And then I'll talk about even further what a home inspector looks for. But can you explain, is the building official?
So the building inspector is going to he's following to make sure everything is following that the IRC code.
Yeah, and the code, and right, plans. It's for safety.
Correct.
Realistically, a lot of the stuff that they're looking at is safety regulations, electrical, plumbing, stuff that could harm people.
And going back, when we're building a house, it's not just we're not going off of a set of just straight architectural plans. Sure. They have been gone through an engineering firm to make sure that everything is what is needed to
structurally sound,
make that house resilient to the best of our abilities for a storm like a hurricane.
Yeah.
So these inspectors are using those plans, and they're going by that engineered set of plans to make sure that everything that engineer has put in is actually been installed.
And a lot of the times, if there is a deviation needed, it's not the building official that you talk to about making it. You have to go back to the engineer. The building official is going to go with what the engineer says. They are not engineers, right? They are out inspecting for safety, but they are going to abide by what an engineer tells them. Okay. Now, and you go through a series of inspections throughout a home build. Your major inspection is what we call a four-way. What is a four-way?
Four-way is where you're getting the structural, the mechanical, which is your electrical, the HVAC, and the plumbing. Yeah. All inspected per code, that everything passes ready for the next phase of that build.
And that's basically, for us, that's about halfway. Yes. And, we really can zoom after that, but that is our biggest inspection point. And now we're going to move into the portion of the show where we talk interior design. We're going to bring in an interior designer, and we're going to talk trending design and products. Hope you enjoy. Let's go. All right, Christy, let's pick up where you and Dad, my dad, who work. Yeah, we call him Paw. Everybody does. But let's pick up right where you left off talking with him. So when I came and got you so we could, do some film and recording for the show, you guys were having a conversation about what?
Roofs.
Okay, roofs. Mm-hmm. And pertaining to one of the remodels we're doing?
That is correct.
Okay.
So this particular remodel is pretty much, it's not a gut job, but
Well, it's turning that way, right?
It is. It's getting there.
So it's almost pretty much a whole home remodel.
Right.
Kitchen, bathrooms, master bathrooms, flooring.
Right.
So yeah.
So they will need a whole new roof. So his question to me was if I had met with them about the roof color, their selection, and just seeing what was the next step with that.
And have you or did you already pick that for them, or how is that process
I haven't.
working?
So yeah, we have to meet together and decide. They will most likely probably choose what they already had, because nothing with the brick is changing as far as color. So
now we did add some hardy out front and kind of because it was all brick home.
Right.
They had little bits of stucco. We've taken all that off, and we are putting hardy up front, right? We had our architect come out, redraw the front, is it reimagine? What do you call that? Just redraw, right? Okay. So he redrew the front, and now we're adding, and why do you do that? Like, why would you, is that to give it some shape, some detail?
that was actually, so when they came to KCR about this remodel, they already had in mind the direction they wanted to go. So
Gotcha.
they had already planned on removing all the stucco, adding the board and batten, and the only difference exterior that we changed is instead of doing that to only one front gable, now they're doing it to two to make more of a statement on the front.
Was that per you? I mean, is that something that you kind of talked about with the client? So how did these changes, right? How do those occur during a remodel? What's typical or atypical?
Right. So it always changes, and it always ends up being usually a bigger job, unless it's, and especially in this case, because like you're saying, once you get into the walls and you might find a problem and then there's another problem, and it ends up being just it's close to a gut job. So there's going to be more selections. There's going to be more choices to make. So it kind of snowballs, especially a job like this. So it just kind of happened that way. It wasn't, but they are very open to making it look the best they can. And if that includes adding another, I think just proportionally wise with the exterior of their home, it just will look better. So we kind of came together on that one.
Yeah, and then the same architect drew a new porch for them on the back. So we're going to do a covered porch and stuff, which all of that has to be done before we do a total re-roof.
Yep.
And we're getting to that point. We're a few weeks away from closing this job out. And for us, this was a larger remodel. Like I said, a whole home.
Yeah.
It's a house over 3,000 square feet. But, we're going down this path because it all started from termite damage.
Right.
Right. And there was some lawsuits and all this different stuff involved because termites can get sticky, just like mold or any other situation like that. And what we're finding as we're going through this remodel, and we, are prepping the bathrooms, we're taking off the drywall and stuff to look for rot and all that. We're finding more termite damage, and it just continues to compound. But we were in a situation like you told me earlier with their mudroom, where the mudroom was an add-on. They weren't originally doing the mudroom.
They didn't think, so when I had gone for my consult, our estimator had already gone out and given them the estimate for the remodel. Yeah. He was actually the one that told them about Kirby Interior Design Services. So whatever. The next time I went out with him. And so when we were walking through the house, going over the changes they wanted to make, they mentioned that they really wish they could do a mudroom. And so I'm just standing there looking at the wall. I'm like, well, you can. I don't know why can't you? And then I'm asking the estimator, like,
why can't we?
Yeah, because he does construction too. So a benefit to having an estimator that does both of those. Yeah. So he knew right away, like, yeah, we can do that. So we eyeballed it and did the measurements, and so that's kind of how that happened. So that automatically added on to their estimate, but they are super excited about that space. So.
Yeah. So, and in addition to all the work we were doing, we added the mudroom, but again, in the mudroom, there was a ton of termite damage. Yeah, right. And had that not been something that we added on, that termite damage wouldn't have been exposed.
Who knows?
And stuff like this it happens in our industry where one small thing just turns into this huge thing. But when it comes to the client making these selections, as we have gone through this process, we have talked a lot about timeliness, selections, budgeting, right? And I pick because Christy has a handwritten sheet that she's tracking a lot of the stuff. We have a software program, Build Book, that we use to communicate and has allowances and things. So let's get down to the basics. What is an allowance?
An allowance is the amount that we are projected, I guess would be the right
projecting
word,
for the
to spend for faucets, fixtures, lighting.
So give me a scenario. Maybe use this as an example, but of what a line item for allowances would look like.
An average cost of a faucet, just a sink faucet.
Sure.
We would probably give them an allowance of $250.
Gotcha. Now, how does that work?
Well, right now, so gold finishes are really trending.
Gold is
right
back.
now.
Yes, it is.
So because of that, those
yellow gold, shiny gold, right? What kind of gold?
All of it.
Really? Oh,
but mainly the brush gold. But still,
okay.
That throws your faucets, your finishes up in price.
It does. So color
$250 might seem a little high but it's really not.
So
and you can
color matters on price or finish.
Yeah, it does. Finish.
Okay, it really does.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a client right now, matte black and gold. So all their fixtures are more than what stainless steel.
Have you noticed that? And we'll get back to the allowance line item. Sorry, I'm just digging in a little bit on this, but because it's going to help our clients who are watching this.
Right.
So have you noticed that if an item is trend or a color is trending, that the price of product goes up? Does that happen? It does. Mm-hmm. So if it's more trendy, right? So you're saying that gold is in style.
Yeah.
So a gold
that's
handle.
Your most expensive metal right now.
Really?
For fixtures and yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. As always, we are grateful for our listeners and your continued support. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Get more info at our website, www.thehomebuildingshow.com. And as always, remember who we are, the Home Building and Remodeling Show.